I'm Shane Hoefer, CEO of Rocky Mountain Forest Products, and today I am here with Tye Dynda, our
Hello.
new Director of Marketing at Rocky Mountain Forest Products.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
How's it going, man?
It's going well. Like I said, or just now when we weren't recording, yeah, no, a little full, but other than that, I'm great. I'm in a good mood today. It's been a little bit of a hectic day, but good hectic. Good hectic.
Yeah, I hear you. I got the heavy lunch after vibes going on right now. Second podcast of the day, which is always a little intense. You know, it was not too long ago. I remember sitting there opining that maybe I should start doing like 3 or 4 in a day, doing like a month's worth in a day. And you were like, yeah, not so wise. I'm feeling that right now.
I'm telling you, it will get to you. You don't think just talking for like an hour and a half will catch up with you, but like with real brain activity and talking cohesively and coherently, it will catch up with you. I tried doing it. It doesn't work that well.
Yeah. So speaking of that, we got your Just Us Guys podcast. Those are all 1-2 hour long.
They can get up there. Yeah, the shortest one I think we have is like 55 minutes. So it's every Tuesday night when we record those, we're sitting down from about 7 to 9:30.
Yeah.
It can take a toll on you, even something like that, but thankfully it's something I enjoy talking about, which helps.
So
it does help.
Maybe you covered this in some of your early podcasts, but how long have you known those guys, and what do you know them from?
So Cal, Cade, and Evan, Cal and Cade specifically, I grew up with. They're both 1 and 2 years younger than me, so okay. I grew up with them. I mean, we used to go to like carnivals and everything together. I mean, we're talking like 2-3 years old. We've known each other.
Oh wow.
Evan, I just personally met probably a year and a half ago, but he went to college with Cal and Cade, and I've chatted with him a couple times over Xbox. So he seems like a cool enough dude. So we brought him on.
So you're the old man of the group.
I am the old man of the group.
So we're probably kind of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. I usually start these by talking about someone's background. So that was getting ahead of us into your sports podcast. Let's go back. Let's rewind.
Little taste.
Yeah, little taste. What's your background, man? You're from Western Pennsylvania.
I'm from the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. I mean, if you picture like the Allegheny National Forest and just trees everywhere, that's where I'm from. It's a town of 600 people called Austin, Pennsylvania. At the turn of the century, it actually had like 2,600 people, a booming sawmill and a paper factory and everything. But unfortunately, the people built a dam there for the paper factory. They didn't put the dam in bedrock, and the dam broke and killed like 140 people. Wow. And yeah, the town never recovered after that. It hit about 2,600 at one point, like right around 1911. And ever since then, it's been on a steady decline, and it has hovered right around 600 people for the last like 40 years.
And your family's still there?
Oh yeah. Yep. Let's see. Grandparents were there. Dad was there. Mom's there. Brother's there. Aunt and uncle. Yeah, no, whole family.
So how'd you end up here?
How did I end up here? Well, again, I went to college for public relations.
Where'd you go?
To Mansfield. It's actually just a town of 3,000 people, like 2 hours away. It's like an hour north of Williamsport, where the Little League World Series is held. That's its only claim to fame. By the way, going to that is actually a lot of fun.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be, but it's actually a lot of fun. For the sheer fact that I just walked around with a Gatorade bottle, but it wasn't Gatorade in it. But it's neither here nor there.
That sounds very tight to know.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, no. So what brought me out here was honestly just there was nothing there. Like when I was 16 years old. I went and worked on a farm because we were struggling for money at the time. So I went and worked on a farm, and that lasted about a year. This was after school and on weekends and everything. And then when I turned 18, I went and worked in a glass factory because, again, that was the only other thing there is really factories, steel and glass. That was about it. So I went and worked at a glass factory for 2 years. This was strictly at like summer stuff after school. And I realized that I don't want to be doing this because I was coming home with heat rash every night from about here to here, even though I had a heat shield on because I'm working with molten glass.
Wow.
And I just told myself, I was like, all right, this is a great summer job and I make great money. And like I was working like 50, 60 hours a week, getting time and a half, which at the time when I'm, 18, 19 years old, it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
But it makes you realize really quick that there are things out there you don't want to do, so it gives you something to work towards. So, yeah, I took college pretty serious when it came to that because I was like, I want to get out of here. I want to do something, whether that means just going up to Syracuse or Rochester or, hell, even Erie or Buffalo. It'd be like one of those places would be really cool. But in the back of my mind, I was always like, Colorado or Washington. Those are two places that I think would be really cool, and it wasn't because of the legal weed. Everyone always goes, it's legal weed. I was like, no, that's not there's just more to do out there. It's like Pennsylvania, but it's bigger, and there's more to do.
And you've never been here before, right?
No, the farthest west I'd ever traveled was Texas one time. I went down to Dallas to visit a buddy, and that was when I was 21. So I traveled the East Coast a lot, but I never really went west. So, yeah, when I moved out here back in the beginning of 2017, I gave myself a timeline. I said, if I don't find a job in 3 months, I'm packing it up, going back home, figure something out, and we'll go from there. I had a lot of job offers when I got out here, and that was great, but none of them felt right.
Were they all within your degree? Because you got a degree in
Sorta,
public relations.
Sort of. Some were sales, some were event coordination, which actually turned into just being sales, and they lied. But again, some just like they didn't feel right. Like there was a physical therapy place downtown, and they offered me the job. They thought they could give me a chance for the event coordination, and it turned into I would be doing event coordination, but it was basically like once a week, and the other like 35 hours of my week would be devoted to cold calling people to try and get them down there.
To try to get more events to coordinate?
Yeah. And I was like, that's fine and dandy, and I think I could manage that, but then they had a really weird dress code where it was like on Monday you had to wear purple, Tuesday was red, Wednesday was green. You couldn't wear jeans or anything. It had to be like dress pants the whole time and collared shirts and everything. And I was like, okay, that's really weird. And I was like, so what's business casual? And they were like, you can wear black. I was like, all right, great. So yeah, that one I actually accepted before I took this job. And then I got a call from the old director of marketing and said, hey, I want to offer you the job. So yeah, long story short, that's how I ended up out here. And well, I've been here since, as you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
What's the transition been like?
The transition from a town of 600 people to Denver, Colorado, or just everything in general?
Both.
Okay. So the transition was originally incredibly overwhelming because the most cars I'd see on a road at any time was 3, to driving I-25 for 2 straight years in rush hour. That changes a little bit.
Yeah. You were commuting from like the tech center up here. That's
Yeah, no, it was about an hour drive during rush hour every day. The mornings were fine. Mornings were great, actually. My record was 27 minutes. But no, in all seriousness, it was a really big transition because, again, I'm coming from a town of 600 people where I know everybody from kindergarten to 12th grade in my high school and everybody's neighbor, to going to college where, again, it's a town of 3,000 people, so slightly larger, but it's a college, so you get to meet a lot of people. To coming out here where at times it did feel like an isolation to an extent, even though there were more people out here, because it's not as simple as just walking up and saying hi.
There's a certain anonymity in the big city that
there truly is that I did not anticipate.
Sure.
That since changed and I got over that, but first little bit out here, like the first 6 months outside of like work relationships, it was just really weird. Like at times I literally felt like I was on an island. So there is a weird transition there, but if I can give advice to anybody, it's simply put yourself out there. Do something you didn't think you would enjoy doing. Like I just started going to like random park events. Thought nothing of it and was just like, there's a park next to my house. Whenever something goes on, let's go see what's happening. Talked to a couple people, but it at least alleviated some of that anxiety about talking to people and getting to meet other people, because I think you know me well enough. I'm a pretty bombastic, energetic, something like that. I can hold a room's attention, I think, to an extent.
I feel like I do know you a little bit, but here's something I actually don't know how you would answer. Would you consider yourself introverted or extroverted?
I'm right in the middle.
Yeah, I would say I could see you going either way on that answer.
I'm perfectly fine sitting in my room and shutting out the world and not dealing with anything. But then, I mean, I can hold a room's attention. I mean, the only reason I got into marketing / public relations / communication stuff was because my professor in college came up to me and said, "You're really good at public speaking." And I said, "I didn't know that."
Yeah.
So then I followed that. So I fall somewhere right in the middle, I believe. Like, I truly believe that I can ride the line of both worlds on that one. So, yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, so that was actually going to be one of my questions, is how you ended up doing PR and stuff. So is that why you majored in it, because of that professor?
That's 100% why, because I was in between going for either history or some type of educational role or something like that, because I'm I'm very good with children. I always have been. I grew up with a special needs brother, so that helped a little bit, and I was always great with him. And then other kids.
Younger or older?
Younger. And it was always one of those things where it was like, kids gravitate towards me. I think it's just because I'm very goofy myself. But yeah, it was one of those things where, I always thought like that could be something I could do and I could enjoy every day till they get annoying, and then it changes. But I actually did because I had to take just a normal like the general level communications course, and I gave a presentation on golf of all things. And
so you've always been a golf fan?
Yes. Well, since probably like 7th or 8th grade, yeah.
Okay.
But basically, I gave that presentation. My professor actually also liked golf. She came up to me after the fact and said, not a lot of people could say what you just said and say it with such conviction. Do you play? And I was like, yeah, no, I was like all district and everything in high school. Like I was relatively good at it. She was like, well, you're really good at public speaking too. Have you thought about actually just doing this? And I was like, doing what? Communication. Like, what would you be interested in? So then I started looking at all the different things, and it was like public relations. You can like work for celebrities and do like their social media and manage this and do that, and like it can branch off into this. And I was like, oh, that seems cool. Looked at organizational communication. Actually got a minor in that because I had all but 3 credits for it for a minor. So thought that one was cool too. But yeah, I went with public relations because to me it was mixing a little bit of event coordination, which I enjoy doing events, the public speaking, talking to people, how to properly talk in a business sense or represent people as a personal brand, which you know of. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of mixed a bunch of things that I thought I would enjoy doing. And if I did find a true calling in one of those fields, I could really just go head first into it. And, well, here I am now doing marketing.
Well, that's interesting because recently in a couple different podcasts I've talked about the topic of how many people get degrees and then go into a field where that degree is not used whatsoever. You're one of the people one of the few at Rocky Mountain that's actually putting their degree to use. So, why do you think that is? Did you just fall into that? You just had the right people speaking into your life at that time, or?
So my thing is, that's part of the reason why I actually left back home is because I did want to use my degree, because I've known people in my life that have gotten degrees, didn't use them, and then, they're sitting with all this debt, and it really was for nothing.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to make that piece of paper, even though it was a very expensive piece of paper, be for naught. I didn't want it to just go to waste and be a shiny thing on a wall for me. I wanted to actually do something with it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That just seems so stupid.
And that's just
get a degree for the sake of a degree and never use it. What is it for then?
Yeah, and even so, if you do find a calling that, maybe your degree didn't fit, you can always spin something on it. To me, at least, I think you can always twist something to fit whatever your passion was, because you didn't just go spend 4 years and X thousands of dollars to do something that you didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
Now, you might not be able to find a job that you enjoy using your degree, but there is a way out there to find and use your degree in any field, really. I really do believe that. I'm not saying if you went for, natural gas science to go be a telemarketer, but you can find something in there to somehow use it. Now, the job market and everything obviously is a whole different thing after this last year, but hopefully that everything's all right. But for me, it was really, I didn't want to sit around and not use a piece of paper that I busted my ass for, quite frankly, for 4 years, just to say that I had it. It was I actually got a marketing job back where I'm from for a cable company.
Really?
I quickly realized that just was not it. That what I wanted to do with my own life and things that I saw, where I wanted to be, in 10, 20 years, was not staying in that area doing marketing for a cable, a local cable company for, the next rest of my life.
What was that like? What did you do for a local cable company in Western Pennsylvania?
Called billboard companies, did social media, basically tried calling people, ran customer service for a little bit because we always had a problem keeping on customer service people for a cable company. By the way, that sucks. Don't ever, and I mean ever, do customer service for a cable company, because you
seem too surly to do customer service for a cable company.
We found that out real quick. Trust me, when people are writing me, about their internet being down, and all I can respond with is, we'll get a tech out there as soon as possible. And then it's, I get called everything but a white man. It's not that easy. Because it just, you deal with a lot. And I know customer service just in general is a headache. But, man, internet people get really pissed off. Yeah, when the opportunity came to move out here, I jumped on it because, again, like I said, I gave myself 3 months, and I was like, well, if it doesn't work out, I can go home and figure out something else, but I have to at least try to get out of here. Now, I could have moved to Pittsburgh. I could have moved anywhere, but I said, why not Denver?
So that brings us up to a topic that I think it's actually, it could easily be avoided, but it's actually one of the more interesting aspects of your story. So you'd been with the company for approximately 3 months, I want to say, by the time that you found yourself in charge of our marketing department.
Yeah, no, I started in March, and then in June 2nd was the day I took over.
Yeah, so at the time we had a very small marketing department, a team of 2 or 3 when you came on board.
It was 3 when I came on, and then when
I was
leading it, it was 2.
You were the man.
It was 2 people, yeah.
And the gentleman that was running it said that you thought that you were capable of running the machine. Mm-hmm. And I gave you the benefit of the doubt and gave you a shot. What was that? So let's put this into context. You've been out of college for how long at this point?
I had just turned 23.
So you've been out of college a little over a year.
Yep.
We were doing probably $12 to $15 million a year in revenue at the time, and you're running a marketing machine that you didn't build and were barely familiar with. That
I was 90 days into.
But and so we were in an interesting situation because also I still don't consider myself very savvy when it comes to digital marketing. I mean, I understand the principles, but it's not my forte at all. And I took that gentleman at his word, and you fit in very, very well. You had great rapport with several of the people that were here. Mm-hmm. So we give you a shot at it. What did that feel like? What was that like at the time?
Well, again, 23-year-old me, right out of the gate, I looking back, if I could do it all over again, I would have said, no, I don't think that I can manage this. But me being prideful and wanting to more or less prove myself to everybody that said I'd never leave the town, it was a big pride thing for me. It was a really big pride thing for me, and that's why...
The naysayers.
Yeah, it was a big pride thing for me because I wanted to try and do it, and ultimately if I did fail, I failed. That's why we're here now still. But, no, it was quite overwhelming at first because the first week I was literally just sitting there going through everything that we had, looking at with more or less one eye closed because I only knew about half of what was going on, really. I was here for 90 days. I didn't know everything that was going on. I didn't know all of the real ins and outs. I didn't know the intricacies of what doing marketing for a large lumber company was because, again, I came from a middle of nowhere place doing, billboards for a cable company.
Yeah.
That was my really only experience to running an entire Google account, doing SEO, doing all of this stuff.
It was kind of the ultimate overnight. Trial by fire.
Oh, it very much was. And, well, like you and I had talked about, we'll do a 90-day trial period. So that would put me here at 6 months. 2 months into that, there was about 10 to 14 days where I was going home every day, and I was just literally sitting there looking for jobs, just so depleted, just destroyed because I was letting down all the sales guys that I did enjoy being around. They were good dudes. I was letting you down. I was letting down the company that took a leap of faith in me. And on top of it, I was letting myself down because it was like, you dumbass, what did you get into? Mm. So, yeah, about, probably 2.5 months into the 3-month trial, I came into your office and said, hey, I can't do this. If I need to walk away, I can walk away. I'm perfectly fine with that. I understand. But I can't do it, and I need help.
Yeah, because your predecessor had told me, he's like, I don't think you could have built the machine that we have, but Tye's fully capable of running it. And so I had no reason to not believe that, give you the benefit of the doubt. But I really respected the fact that you were able to be blunt enough to come in and be like, man, I am seriously in over my head.
No, it sucked. It sucked a lot. Anytime you have to admit failure, it sucks. I think that's just a innate thing of anyone. Admitting failure sucks. But like I said, I think it started out as a pride thing, and that pride quickly got swept under the rug and ego, and got told, no, bud, you need to learn a little bit more before you jump on this thing.
See, that told me everything. That's actually the very reason why you're still here today. That told me everything I needed to know about you, though. Like, you weren't afraid to step up to try something, even though it looked like a huge ass challenge. And then you were also humble enough when you were like, "Oh man, I'm in over my head."
Oh no, there was 2 weeks there that I was going through it, like every day. Like I was just sitting there. There was one time I remember just sitting there, like, and I completely just blanked for an hour, and then I looked at the clock and I just said, "What just happened?" Like it was to the point where my stress and anxiety were just that high, where there was one time I just blacked out, and I don't know. Like I just sat at a desk.
Wow.
No, it was really tough there but like I said,
And this was all, but this still would have been in the era when you had very few local friends, right?
No, it was there was a lot. It was a
So
lot at one time.
I mean, you were
I was
on a true island at that point in time.
No, like I said, I was going through it. Yeah, no, it was first 5 months into moving 1,500
I've never thought about that aspect. You're going home and, yeah.
Yeah, no, 1,500 miles away from closest family and friends, and I'm out here trying to run a $12, $15 million company that I had just started at, and, everyone's expecting me to, basically run the ship still, when, for the most part, yeah, I'm 2 years out of college. Like a year and a half out of college. So yeah, it was a lot, and like I said, I'm glad I'm still here. I'm glad that I could swallow my pride and I didn't just say, fuck it, I'm out, I'm done. Because if I would have done that, I would have regretted it a lot.
And the irony is, it was shortly thereafter that I reconnected with Taylor. Taylor comes in.
Yep.
Let's kind of do a fast forward here for a few years. What did you learn in the ensuing several years?
Well, I was going to say, over the next 4 years of working, more or less step for step with Taylor on all of this, is from rebuilding the website, which I would have had not even a clue to start, and that was, 3 months into him starting here, to running a team, how to organize, just how to dictate tasks. That was one I really struggled with, was actually trusting people to do things. So once I actually got people and saw what they were capable of doing, I was like, oh no, this is way easier. So that's why, Charles, our new video guy, actually edits my podcast now, my sports podcast, which again, you got a taste earlier. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But yeah, no, it was, I just learned a lot of things, basically how to talk business, because again, I'd really never done any true advertising or marketing deals with any other company. I've watched him do that.
In some ways, you're like the epitome of how a degree doesn't necessarily prepare you for the real world.
No, that's just it. The degree gave me the ability to get a job because, I mean, to be...
You had theoretical knowledge.
I was going to say, to be completely fair, and I don't know if I've ever told you this, during my interview, I was asked to write Google ads and if I could describe SEO. I could write a Google ad. Don't ever ask me what search engine optimization was when I was 22 years old, because I wouldn't have been able to tell you, but I was able to bullshit through it, and it got me a second interview. So it worked out, but yeah, no, 100%. The degree, everything I've learned here over the last 4.5 years, did the degree help and give me at least a foundation? Yes. But could I have done all of the foundational work on my own if I really wanted it? Yeah. Like it wasn't... That piece of paper did not justify all of the knowledge that I've learned over the last 4 years. What I've learned in the last 4 years has been invaluable to where I'm at now. So ultimately, yeah, the piece of paper is great and everything, and I don't regret it. But yeah, it for what I know now, that was not really required. Just because, I mean, to be fair, marketing, public relations, again, it's broad in its sense of scope for what it can touch, but marketing is quite different. Like I can write our PR releases. I've done that in the past. That was a fully thing due to the degree. But yeah, what I'm doing now really didn't really learn that much in college. So, but again, the 4 years that I've been here learning with Taylor to where I'm at right now, going from wanting to rip my hair out because this was way too much work for someone that was at the company for 3 months to take over the whole thing, to now I have 4 years of actual knowledge, training, firsthand experience. I know how the lumber industry works to a much greater degree. yeah, it's night and day. I don't even know if it's night and day. Like, it is even more extreme than that.
Well, if you had to summarize it into one lesson, what's the major thing you learned through that whole evolutionary process?
It's never, legitimately, don't be afraid to ask for help, because that was my one thing. That's been my thing the entire time, is if I don't know how to do something, I'll go to Taylor and ask for help. I went to you and asked for help. Now, does it suck? Yeah, sometimes it does suck depending on the circumstances, but it never hurts to ask for help in any, and that just goes across the board for life for me. I mean, do I know everything? No, not by a long shot. I still have to ask for help on stupid things like taxes, because I don't always know what needs to go where.
That just came up in our earlier podcast, and no one teaches you how to do taxes when you're growing
taxes
up.
is, yeah, now, God forbid we teach, 18-year-old kids how to do taxes, but neither here nor there. But no, that's my biggest thing, is just ask for help, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because the worst someone is going to do is either, one, blow you off, or just tell you, figure it out for yourself. And then if someone does tell you that, okay, well, you're an asshole, but then also there's more than one person that's going to know the answer, so go ask someone else for help. I mean, that's been pretty much my philosophy just through the last 4 years, is if I don't know how to do something, I'll go ask Taylor. If I don't know how to, do some video editing, I'd ask the video person, or anything like that. It's just, I try to be a sponge. I think that's why I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, because I think of myself as a sponge. I really just try and take in as many lessons as possible from, like, stuff that you do with leadership. Now that I'm in a leadership role, I now need to not mimic you, but I need to take what you put out and also spin it in my own way, because everyone leads in a different sense.
Yes.
I mean, as we talked about, this would have been last week, everybody leads different. Everyone is receptive to different things as well. People that you're going to be leading are, maybe have a different attitude or personality than the people that I'm going to be leading. So I can take what you're putting forward, but I still need to make that my own.
Yeah.
So I just try to be a sponge and ask for help when needed. That's how I pretty much operate.
Cool.
And it's got me this far.
That's a great principle from which to start. It's kind of the spirit of this whole podcast. Is just like, there's wisdom all over the place. There's knowledge all over the place. Just got to start soaking it up, and then it makes you a better, more well-rounded person.
Yeah. And I completely agree with that.
So in those 4 years that you were here, somewhere in there, you've tried your hand at lots of different, not necessarily lots of different, but a few different online public persona mediums, broadcasting on Twitch, some podcasts. Talk to me about some of those efforts.
Well, let's see. So over the last 4 years, I figured it was a good chance to just, in my free time, because like I said, I was on an island at one point, so I was like, hey, why not see if we can get something going just in the digital landscape, because, well, it exists and it's not going away anytime soon, I think, as a lot of people are coming around to realize. So I said, hey, I'll try doing Twitch.
Said on our podcast from the lumber industry.
Yeah. Yep, that started 3 years ago now, which is still insane to me.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep. Come a long way from the first one where I said all of 5 words.
Yeah, that one's classic.
That one is remarkable. I just sit there the whole time, just literally twiddling my thumbs.
I hate going back and watching those old ones.
They're the worst.
Oh, man, they're rough.
Oh, even if I go back and watch some of the other podcasts that I've tried doing, like the NFL recap one from 3 years ago, or even the predecessor to Just Us Guys, the Take the L podcast. Trust me, I've come a long way, but also that's just it. It's about reps. It's the same with doing Twitch streaming, which, by the way, Rocky Mountain might start getting into. We might actually do that and use this room for that. I'm brainstorming that.
I can't wait to hear that. Haven't heard that idea yet.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm brainstorming it. Because we've had a Twitch page now for a long time. I made it probably 3-ish years ago.
I remember when it was made.
Yeah, we still have that. But no, it's really just, I wanted to do something in my free time because, again, I was on an island, didn't know many people, and was like, well, I'm not just going to sit here and do nothing, because I like being at least a little proactive with things in my life. I enjoy playing video games, so I said, hey, I'll do Twitch. I enjoy talking about sports, so let's see if I can do a sports podcast. And originally, it didn't even start as a Rocky Mountain thing. I just was like, hey, Taylor, I'm going to start a podcast. And he was like, why don't you do it for Rocky? And I was like, all right. So
what was that like for you? Did that surprise you, or was that?
It was shocking to me because I was like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna do this with my friends, see what we can get going. And he was like, no, do it with Rocky, and we can just do it in house, and we'll make a thing out of it. And I was like, all right, yeah, that works too. So then it was originally just myself doing the NFL recap because I thought that the NFL recap was more oriented for the work and business side of things, because I was like, well, we have contractors and retail people that like sports, so it's there, and we're not doing anything right now. I have like an hour free pretty much every day during the meetings, so I would just write a script and then go and basically just read it back in front of a camera and recap all the NFL stuff. That one was, I'm not kidding you, like Chris Berman's like ESPN countdown. Like, it was as bare bones and, looking back, stale. The coolest thing that I did that YouTube didn't like was I just put highlights in it and put some copyrighted music from Fox or ESPN. So it was very straightforward, but there was no personality in it.
So what was your big takeaway from that?
You need to have personality. You need to have at least some opinion to stick out on the internet, because, I mean, no one's going to touch ESPN's NFL Countdown. No one. If you're looking for a recap show, you're not going to go to, the Rocky Mountain YouTube page to find the NFL recap from the week before.
I think I see that more and more becoming just in your face. Like the faster, so everyone knows I'm a watch lover, watch collector.
Mm-hmm.
Couple new watch channels and vlogs show up on YouTube, and the ones that have the most meteoric, fastest rises, the strongest, most loudest opinions.
Yeah, no, it's not the people that just blend into the background.
No,
that's just it.
And they say outlandish things that you're just like, I totally disagree with.
Whether you agree or disagree, you're going to remember.
But you're going to remember,
and that's just it. So that's how it is in sports commentary right now, is that everyone tries to one-up each other with just an outlandish, quite frankly, stupid take. There was one sports analyst that just said, his name's Kendrick Perkins. He, like 2 weeks ago...
I don't know this guy. Is this guy
no, he's
a digital personality?
No, he's on ESPN.
Okay.
So, I mean, he like competes with Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, all of them. So... He said, I don't know if you know who Giannis Antetokounmpo is, the Milwaukee Bucks player, just won the Finals MVP. A couple weeks back, he actually said that he was the Robin to another teammate's Batman, which is one of the most blatantly wrong takes, just universally, I've ever heard.
And you think he did it just for the shock value?
No, it's just for shock. That's it. Because then if you go to Twitter, he was trending on Twitter, and everyone was talking about him. And that's just it. But at some point, it has to be like, all right, you know what you're saying is wrong, but you're saying it anyway.
And he's getting all this attention for the wrong reasons.
And that's just it.
And in the grand scheme of things.
And that's what I'm trying to avoid. But you also need to bring your own personality to it, because even if you're saying popular, in sports, if you're saying a popular sports take or something, it still needs to be
yours,
within the realm of reason, but also something that you believe with conviction is the truth. Because I can say, like, Drew Lock's the best quarterback in the league. Do I really believe that? No. But, there are people I'm sure out there that believe it.
Yeah. I don't know. It brings up an interesting conundrum, because if you just say the same thing that 1,000 other people have said, how are you going to ever stand out? But if you're just saying shit for the sake of standing out, what's the point of that, too?
Then you've lost what the true meaning of it is, because at the end of the day, you should be able to go up there and enjoy talking about what you're talking about. But if you're just blatantly lying and you don't believe a word that's coming out of your own mouth, then that can't be fun.
But at the same time, Susan and I have talked about that as my brand got rolling a little bit and I spent more time on social media. The number of people that are out there giving free advice as a brand, an expert in whatever, you're like, it's just 1,000 experts talking to nobody, giving advice that no one's asking for. And it's in some ways, it's just becoming really, really stale. Just like whether you're talking about sports or watches or any other niche hobby, there's somebody out there that was the original, that is held up as the guy that puts out the opinion, and there's all these people chasing that and trying multiple different tactics to garner attention. I don't know. It's interesting. Just the attention wars and the thing that's worked most recently is just be the loudest, most outlandish commentator of your area. And I think it's going to backfire in the long run. Otherwise, you just have a bunch of free opinion givers that no one gives a crap about.
No, and I mean, ultimately that's what I've realized with mine is, so after the NFL thing, after the NFL recap show, we moved on to an actual podcast format where we just kind of talked about, where me and Josiah, our old video guy, just would sit down and talk about stuff from the weekend, just off the cuff. It was like, hey, here's the 5 things we're going to talk about. What do you think? And that would run anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, just depending on what we wanted to talk about.
And that was called?
What was it? That was Take the L. Yeah. Because, Denver's coach Mike Malone one time told LeBron and the Lakers on his way out to take the L, which I thought was hilarious. And that podcast name wasn't taken, so I jumped on it.
I never knew where that podcast name came from.
No, it was because Mike Malone of the Nuggets, LeBron and the Lakers, it was like their first time in Denver once he was there. And in his post-game press conference, he said, "Take the L on the way out, LeBron." So, yeah, we ran with that because I thought it was hilarious.
Okay.
So that one went for a while, and then Josiah ended up leaving. I tried running it on my own with having a couple other people on it, but then with the pandemic and everything, it just kind of fell by the wayside, as I think a lot of things did for a lot of people. But it was just one of those things where we were focusing more on other stuff, and I didn't have the means to put out podcasts at the time. So I was like, we'll just call it good. That can be a wrap on that. It was a good run, but didn't logistically work out. So, after all of this, I was like, I still want to make a podcast. I miss talking about sports. I asked my buddies, as I mentioned earlier, if they would want to do something like that, and we could just do a Zoom call. And they said, yeah, absolutely. We already do it when we're, just sitting around playing video games anyway. Why not record it? I said, all right, fair point. So that was how the birth of Just Us Guys started, which that would have kicked off in, December of last year, I believe. We are getting dangerously close to a year.
And it seems like I watched a little bit of the NFL recaps. I didn't watch a whole bunch of Take the L's, but from what I've seen of Just Us Guys, it seems like you're finding your rhythm more. I mean,
yeah, it's still kind of structured in the same fashion as Take the L, where it's off the cuff and everything like that. But the difference is where it's not just me and Josiah, which I appreciate Joe even being a part of it, but he watched maybe like one football game a weekend and then just kind of read headlines and ran with that. Like whenever we talk about something, like he was Googling it like right before we recorded. These guys are just like me. They're freaks.
They are as psycho as you.
They're freaks about sports. Like, and it doesn't matter what.
I mean,
sports.
I can't. I mean, I'm not a huge sport. I mean, I'm a sports fan. Compared to you, I'm not a sports fan. I've never seen anyone quite like you.
Even Ben Brook found that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, when we were doing the whole Go Live and everything, we started talking about it, and he was like, "How do you know all these people from the '80s? Aren't you like only 30?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm 27." He was like, "Why do you know the Packers punter from 1983?" I was like, "Don't ask questions." But really, it's just, I like sports, and for some reason, a part of my brain just latches on to random shit about sports. So,
including stats on curling.
Yeah. No, I love curling. We were just talking about the Olympics on last night's episode, and we were going back and forth about what our favorite Summer Olympic sport is, and
which is
mine is diving, like the tandem diving, just the solo diving, the whole thing. I think it's insanely impressive, more so the tandem one where they have to be synchronized diving to me is insane. Like, because I mean, you're penalized for even the most minute movement. But if I have to choose a second one, it's probably gymnastics, because also gymnastics, and I mean all of gymnastics is awesome. Again, these are things I don't get to watch except every 4 years because, to be fair, I'm not going to go out of my way to watch them. And they're not heavily televised.
I freaking love the Olympics.
No, I
love
do too.
the Olympics.
I do too.
Interesting question, though. We've never talked about this.
Okay.
What's your favorite Summer Olympics, Winter Olympics?
I'm a bigger fan of the Winter Olympics.
I knew you would be. Yeah.
Curling and hockey.
Curling, hockey. You got some of your favorite sports in there.
The cross-country skiing when they shoot the targets too. No, I can sit there for like 3 hours and just watch someone literally just sprint on skis and then stop for 45 seconds, shoot something, and then take off again.
Yeah.
No, I just like those type of things. I mean, hockey's hockey, but curling is just electric for me. So currently, the Winter Olympics by a wide margin, but I still do enjoy the Summer Olympics. Like when Usain Bolt was running every 4 years, it was great. That was can't miss
You
TV.
say Bolt, Michael Phelps. I mean, there's been so many people.
Simone Biles right now. She could get her name up there if she clean sweeps this Olympics. She's gonna get her name up there too. Honestly.
You know, I have immense respect for Olympians because they're in such niche sports. They can get. I mean, if you're at the really top of your game, you can get some decent endorsements. But overall, these sports don't pay like the other mainstream sports, like you say, just because they don't have the viewership.
They don't have
and
the
the
viewership
amount
or
of
anything
commitment that it takes from these athletes to get to the stage
Compete
that
once every 4 years. One time.
it just says so much about how committed they are to their craft, to their passion. I don't know how you cannot sit there and look at them with awe, reverence, and respect.
No, and that's why I love the Olympics.
Especially when these obscure countries and these obscure sports where they have no shot on the global stage of actually medaling.
Nope.
But they are a national hero. I love those stories.
Well, and that's the best part. Like, I mean, just look at USA men's basketball. Typically, we're always the most dominant. First 2 games, and yes, they were exhibition games, but we've lost 2 exhibition games over the last 30 years. We lost back-to-back exhibition games in 3 nights.
I did not know this.
Yeah, no, Australia and I think it was France beat us in back-to-back nights.
What's your take on this? I have not heard this.
Oh, no, it's...
What's causing this, Ty?
So,
give me your sports wisdom.
My sports take on this is they're playing under FIBA rules, which are the international rules, and you can be more physical on defense, where if you watch the NBA now...
Oh, it's a giant... It's a Hollywood play.
Yeah. That's the difference originally, and one of the players actually got kicked off the team because he was overly...
How much has that changed in the NBA over the past 10 years?
What, physicality?
Yeah.
A ton. Because they want more scoring. So if they help the scorer by getting fouls and shooting free throws, it's better for them. It's better for the point total and everything.
Okay, so just the same as the NFL has changed pass interference rules and made it more offensive friendly, the NBA has done the same.
Yep. But yeah, they're playing international rules under FIBA, so it's a lot more physical. And I think they struggled with that out of the gate. They've since won all of them since, but
are you indirectly saying that the NBA is putting out divas that can't hold their own on the international stage?
100%.
Okay.
100%. But if you're looking at a talent pool, the USA is still going to take gold, I believe. I just think that we're too deep. Like, we have too many good players compared to the rest of the world. Like, what is it? I want to say it's Slovenia has Luka Doncic, and he's the only other, like, he's arguably second best player in the NBA right now. But
did they medal last Olympics?
I have no idea. That one I don't know.
Did. I don't remember.
Yeah, that one I don't know. But all that being said, yeah, the podcast really.
You saw it here, everybody. A sports stat Ty does not know.
I don't know that one. I don't know who the top 3 medalists were. I want to say it was like America, France, and Argentina, but I'm just picking 3 names.
I feel like there was an Eastern European country that was the bronze medalist, but I could be wrong.
Maybe Serbia, because they had 4 years ago. They would have had Joker still, because Nikola Jokic is from Serbia, so maybe Serbia. But yeah, as far as before the Olympic tangent, yeah, really just doing the podcast is just me and my buddies get together and talk about sports because, like I said, we do it anyway. So it's just one of those things where, thankfully, the company gives me an outlet, but to me, it's just something that I wanted to do anyway. It's just cool. It's really cool, actually, that I get to do it on behalf of the company and not only make it an extension, but also represent the company. And all my friends are perfectly cool with it, too, because I told them if we ever get a sponsorship, they'll get the kickback because I work for the company. So that'll go all to you guys. And I was like, go sell.
So speaking of that, what are your hopes and dreams? What are your aspirations for Just Us Guys or your...
For Tye personally, it's really just keep working. I enjoy working. I think I get very bored if I sit around and do absolutely nothing. So, yeah, if Just Us Guys takes off and ultimately it becomes something that can exist on its own, then I'm going to legitimately have a real conflict of which one do I want to follow, because I enjoy working here. There's a reason I'm still here after 4.5 years, and I am happy with what I helped build here over the last 4.5 years. I'm very proud of it, and on top of it,
well, and
you
just got this brand new promotion,
that
so
too.
I'm hoping you're here for a very long time.
That too. So it's going to be one of those things where it's like, all right, do we want to, make this a thing that's a full-time job, keep it how it is, or do I just hand it off to those three and say, go find a fourth, or you three run it, and if you guys can all make a happy living off of that, do it, because I'm perfectly content right here. So that's all things that are down the road. Those are ifs and buts and all of that, but it would be cool. Am I putting a ton of stock into it? No, not really, because like I said, if I can keep doing it as a little escape where I just get to bullshit with my friends for 2 hours a night and talk about sports, which we would do anyway, but if something can come of it and, help them monetarily, great. That's awesome, because at the end of the day, if I'm helping somebody, that's even better.
For sure.
So, yeah, it's just one of those things. If Just Us Guys takes off, awesome. Will I have a hard decision? Maybe. But with where it's at right now, I'm happy with it. If you don't listen to it and you want to get on sports, go listen to Just Us Guys. We also do betting, which you could win a lot of money on. We've won a lot of money on it.
Yeah, you've had some.
We've won a lot of money.
Some decent streaks.
We've won a lot of money on that show. So yeah, no, we also have betting. It's always at the end of it. But yeah, you should go check it out if you ever want to hear any sports, because that's literally what we do. We just talk about what's going on. And the NFL season's always our big season because we all are football freaks.
Yeah,
so.
NFL's definitely my true passion when it comes to
sports.
sports.
No, we love football season.
And lastly, we can't not talk about the Aaron Rodgers thing.
We can avoid that.
Yeah, that finally got put to bed. This guy's been getting so much heat around here, being the Packers fan,
Mm-hmm.
and with the Aaron Rodgers saga in Denver.
Again, if he's going anywhere, let him come here because I'm here and I can watch him. I'm okay with that, but
it's
I'd
all put to
rather
bed,
him not
right?
leave Green Bay.
Yes and no?
Yes and no. Again, so Adam Schefter yesterday came out with a report saying he turned down being the highest paid quarterback. All that came out in May. He was just rehashing news for
But he came out and said
headlines.
he's going to play for the Packers this season.
Not quite yet.
No?
Tuesday is training camp. If he doesn't show up for training camp, he starts getting fined and then has to make a real decision, because then he forfeits his entire contract.
So I didn't go that deep into it. I just saw that
Yeah.
he announced that he was going to play for the Packers. So it's not put to bed yet?
Not put to bed yet. He might not play, he might play, but at this point, he's not leaving Green Bay.
Well, we'll know by the time this airs.
Probably, yes. We will. But, yeah, it's just one of those things.
Are you still betting that he ends up at the Packers QB this season?
After the first week of all of this and just me walking around like a puppy dog in the rain for the first week of all this news, I just came to the realization, like, it doesn't really matter. My life's still going to go on.
Because you have Jordan Love.
Shut up. It was really just like, will it matter? No. Will it be awesome if he is back? Yeah, but he's not going to get traded. Nobody's going to be able to trade for him. He's the reigning MVP, and he's Aaron Rodgers. The Broncos can't afford to trade him.
Who did not make it on the MVP cover of Madden.
Yeah, that's still weird. Like, I still find that so strange to name it the MVP edition and then not put the MVP on there.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, that's a whole other thing. But Tom Brady's on it. But no, ultimately, no, I don't know. We'll see what happens with the podcast, just like we'll see what happens with this one. And hopefully I can help them both get off the ground.
Well, Tye, thanks for taking the time to be on here. You filled in some gaps. I've gotten to know you a fair amount over the past 4 years, but there were some parts of your background I didn't know, and it puts you in a bit more perspective for me. So
I'm just a weird dude that likes to, help people and people please.
You are a weird dude, but you make me laugh on a daily basis, and
that's a good thing then.
I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're heading up our marketing department. I think you are the poster child of the future of Rocky Mountain Forest Products.
That means a lot, actually.
No, seriously, if you think about it, you came in here like we are built on millennials and Gen Z, and that's kind of part of one of the things I talk about a lot. And that's not the norm in this industry.
No.
And but also your career path like kind of highlights that. Like most other lumber yards are not going to hire a marketing guy to begin with, but then they're also not going to let him be doing side sports podcasts and everything else. And I think that some of the stuff we're doing here and what you got to experience highlights what the future of business is going to look like. But it also shows that when you take somebody that's got a passion and you figure out what those synergies are between you and our business and everything, you can find win-wins where you end up being happy and fulfilled. We get what we need as a business, and it ends up being a good, happy relationship where everybody wins. So,
no, and I completely agree with that. That's one of the reasons why, I stuck around here is because I saw all of that. And did I ever tell you why I applied to this job? Because I missed that a little while back. But
I didn't ask,
no, the reason I applied here was because when I was in high school, I was actually like the top of my class for woodworking. Like I'm really good at woodworking. Shocking.
Really?
Yeah, no, like a lathe, like table saws, all of that. Like made gun cabinets, coffee tables, end tables, like the whole thing. Really good at it.
Really?
Yep. No, that was one of the reasons I was like, oh, a lumberyard, cool.
I did not know that.
Yeah, no, I'm actually like really good at it. Like I got a scholarship and everything.
I think of you as Mr. Sports, gaming. I would not have think of you as Tye the Woodworker.
Like woodworking.
That's why you have a beard.
Yeah, well, that wasn't until like the end of college. Trust me, I can show you a picture of me from graduation. It was bad. I mean, like it was half of a goatee. It was bad.
We should put that in the podcast.
We're not going to do that.
No? Okay.
Do not look up a picture of that. I'm talking to you, Charles. But no,
right.
that was, yeah, that's the whole reason I applied here, and boy, am I happy I did.
Well, I'm really glad you're here, man. Hopefully this is to a long career, and you don't have to make that. I wish you all the success in the world.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
But I hope that you get to stay here instead of leave for Just Us Guys. But either way, I wish you the best. Super glad that we're working together. Thanks for being on today.
Oh, it's a pleasure.